Alright everybody, sanded the top of that kind of nice and clean. Sanded the mating surface for the intake on both sides. Got it all just cleaned up, you know. You gotta use a little bit of silicone where the end seals meet the seal gasket. The gasket on these Buicks is pretty cool. I'll show you that here in a second. Alrighty, here's the main intake manifold gasket for at least for a Buick 455. I think it's cool because if I were to guess, it has this valley pan type of deal to keep the oil off the bottom of the intake, which in my mind would help keep the intake air cooler, sort of mimicking like a high-rise intake. So it's got these grooves there so it'll clip onto the bottom of the heads, and I think, yeah, the way it's shaped with the length of the surfaces there, that one's offset compared to that one. I really don't think you could put it on backwards. I mean, I guess you could, but you definitely can't put it on upside down or else it won't hold itself. So I think I'm going to get this intake on tonight. That sounds like a pretty good idea. Okay, so the intake manifold gasket comes with Felpro RTV. But if that's not enough on this classic American car, I could probably commit a sin and use some good old Toyota FIPG. This stuff is pretty nice. If you know, you know. Only the finest for my Toyota. I bought this when I had to do the timing belt and the water pump. I missed the book time by about 4 hours. Book time on a Toyota water pump and timing chain, 6 hours. I was out there for 10. But yeah, it's extra in case this runs out. A little bit of liquid encouragement. Okay, so that's what the intake's going to look like. You just get a thin layer of silicone around the intake ports to prevent vacuum leaks. And then you put a little bead of silicone around your water ports to prevent water leaks, and you're going to do the same to the top. Yeah, so then when you're done, it'll look something like that. Intake ports got silicone, coolant ports got silicone. You can't see anything down here, so you'll want to make sure that all your lifters or whatever else are in place and that you didn't drop anything or who knows what down there, because once you get that in there you can't see anything. So now to lift that beast of an intake up here and put it all together. If I had a tripod I'd let you guys watch, but I don't, so you'll see the end result. Okay, so when you're working on your 70s boat of an automobile, you can do things like this. Intake is in place. You'll definitely want to make sure, you know, all your bolt holes line up. This was a lot easier though than like a Chevy intake, because you're not having to fight and keep it all lined up with that thing just clipping in there. That's nice. And I mean, you could use silicones on the Chevy intake to line them up, but that's just so much nicer actually being kind of manufactured, you know. So I'm gonna go get the bolts and tighten it all up. I'll come back. Okay everyone, intake is on. It's torqued. According to TA Performance, it torques the cast iron intake on cast heads. Torques to 55 foot-pounds. It's 45 foot-pounds or something like that with the aluminum heads and an iron intake or something like that. Or maybe aluminum intake, iron heads. And then it's like 40 foot-pounds, if I remember correctly, with aluminum. So I found that info at TA Performance. Just Google in, or Google Buick 455 intake manifold bolt torque. It's like one of the first ones that pops up. And then I went from the middle out in an X pattern. In the middle I made an X, and then I went, you know, from the middle out. And then I did that. I did it in phases because I'm reusing like the presumably 40-year-old intake bolts. So I did it in phases, starting at like 35, then 45, then 55. And then I went around it in the same pattern 3 times until they all barely moved. And then you want to finish on the first one you started, because the first one that you torque is always loose at the end. So I went around it 3 times at full torque to make sure nothing else is moving or pulling in or stretching or whatever, and then I hit the first one. I hit it last because for whatever reason the first one you do is always loose. Yeah, so that helps a lot with keeping rats and fruit and everything else out of the engine. See, stupid moth. I was putting an intake and a carburetor on my buddy's C10 one time, and it was super funny. It got dark out like this. We had a light. It was still like high point in summer. It was like a couple days before the 4th of July. And it got dark. We had the light out, and we had the carburetor off the intake, and there were a bunch of June bugs. And we watched this one June bug, and we were like, "Don't you do it! Don't you do it!" And that June bug just went right into the intake. Luckily, we were able to shine a light down in there, and it actually followed the light out. But yeah, no, that was something else. Stupid bugs. But yeah, intake's on, heads are on. That'll help a lot with keeping stuff out. I'll get a plate to cover the carburetor hole, and I might, if I have time tonight, I'll clean the valve covers up and at least just slap them on there. That'll help a lot. But yep, it's coming together. Thanks for watching.